What's up, guys? Welcome back to SPL Society. Today we got a lot of work to do. The plan is to finish the grounds on the back. I need to add a ground up front. After that, we'll work on mounting the amp rack, getting the amps mounted in the back. Then we'll work on getting the bank mounted in the back, start connecting the bank to the grounds and the amplifiers. Then we'll have to figure out a way to mount the fuse blocks in the back and get everything connected to the alternators up front. Once that's done, I'll wire the alternators and we will give it a test. Let's get started. So I got the frame cleaned up. I need to punch another hole for the ground, but let me show you what I'm using for my ground and my solution for crimping. This is EB Flex 4/0. This is some pretty big stuff. The problem is when I go to crimp, I have this, I think it's a 10-ton hydraulic crimping tool, and it comes with all these dies. Now the largest die it comes with is 0 gauge. Here's the problem. See that? That's nowhere near what I need. It's not really even big enough for 0 gauge. When you crimp 0 gauge, it'll actually pinch the edges and leave little wings. So my solution, I took this 14 gauge crimp and I opened it up with an end mill. Now the reason I use the 14 gauge crimp is, who needs 10 tons to crimp 14 gauge? I don't know. So I obviously am not going to crimp 14 gauge with 10 tons. So I took a, I believe, 11/16 end mill, and I opened that up, and that fits double 0 gauge, but as you can see, it's probably a little small for this 4/0. We're gonna take one of these smaller dies, 12 gauge. I mean, look at that. You see how small that is? I don't need that for anything. We are gonna take this 12 gauge die, and we're going to open it up and make our own die for 4/0. Let's head over to the mill and we'll punch it out, and we'll have our own die custom fit for 4/0. Alright, so I ended up using a 5/8 end mill and made my die. That's what the crimp looks like. Just enough to make a good crimp, but it doesn't have the little wings on the side. So, just to test, let's give it a little tug. Yeah. So, I can't pull that off with all of my strength, which may not be a lot, but I'd say that's a pretty good crimp. We'll go ahead and put some heat shrink on this. We'll do the 2 grounds to the frame in the back. Let's get to it. Alright, so finally got the frame grounds done in the rear. I'm going to move to the front, work on the ground from the engine to the frame, and then after that we'll start working on the amp rack. So,
a few moments later.
Got the frame ground done in the front from the engine to the frame. Now I'm working on the amp rack. You see I got the amp rack all painted, and then I have this piece of wood. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to put my threaded inserts in without having to drill into the back of the box. So each one of these points is going to have a 1/4-20 bolt. The amp rack will bolt to this piece of wood, and this piece of wood will get screwed to the back of the box. So I'm much more confident screwing this piece into the box than I am putting a threaded insert, because if I drill too far with the threaded insert, I could potentially have a leak. Screwing this piece of wood to the back of the box, it's airtight, even if I punch through the back. So that's the reason I'm doing this. So we'll go ahead and start pre-drilling and inserting the threaded inserts, and then we can screw this to the back of the box, make sure it's level, and then we can bolt our amp rack right to this. So there we go, guys. Got the threaded inserts in, got the amp rack mounted to this board. So now all I need to do is take this amp rack off and then screw our mount board to the back of the box. Alright guys, finally got the amps mounted up, got the battery bank in, rear frame grounds are connected. I need to connect the 2-aught grounds from the alternator bracket, and then these positives will go to fuse blocks and then connect to the positive bus bar. So right now I'm going to get these grounds connected and then figure out how I'm going to mount fuse blocks and go from there. So just keep cracking away. Guys, it's getting late. I'm gonna call it a day. I still have a lot left to do. I didn't get as much done as I wanted to today, but I feel like I made decent progress. I'd rather it take longer and do it right than just rush and get it put together. So I've got the amps mounted, lithium bank in and grounded. I need to figure out a way to mount fuse blocks and get everything connected. Take care of that tomorrow. I got the ground up front is taken care of. So not a whole lot left to do. I still have 4 channels to mount and door speakers to install, but that won't take very long. So like I said, that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.